Everybody's supposed to be
So
here.
say something nice, so that I can listen. Roy Jackson will not be here.
Okay, you want me to say something nice in the microphone?
Something nice, just so that.
Darla is wonderful. That good?
Let's see what we got. We got lots of stuff. Frank,
Working.
How was your spring game?
Did she say he won't be here? Did she say Roy won't be here?
I looked
Said
for you
Roy
down
won't
on
be
the
here.
field with the,
How sad.
didn't see you,
That
though.
is pickleball.
I guess the pickleball discussion
Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Kennegeeser,
Here.
Reeser,
Here.
Buffington,
Here,
Jackson, Alexander,
Here?
Graves,
Here.
Kilby.
Item number 2, petitions from the audience. Have any? Item number 3, discuss, possibly approve the minutes of the March 27th, 2023 regular meeting.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded.
Makes a lot of noise if you hit your head in there when you're trying to find things.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 4, the mayor's report.
And he's in his office. Can we come back to that one? He's got some people in his office. So when they get finished, maybe we could come back to that one.
Okay. Item number 5, the park report. Mr. Powell?
Not really too much more since the last meeting. Like I said, this is spring, we're just, just every day something a little bit different, whether it's mowing, trails, trim, or trees. Just, we have, like I said, it's that time of year where we got busy, so I think I reported at last meeting, we had the arches built for the new thing at Centennial to replace that pergola. And so they have got them primered and everything. I don't know if we'll get back down there, because with all the rain now, we won't be able to get in there without rutting it up, but, so, I've bought the metal, everything's been paid for now on that, for that shelter. Other than that, just normal, mowing, cemetery, getting ready for Memorial Day. Luckily, I've got 2 out of 3 kids so far. The last couple of years, it's getting harder to get summer kids. So I have 2 out of 3. Other than that, not much. So on the report for the pool, I just got that today myself. And you can tell there's not much to it, just 2 little recommendations that he recommended. So I've actually got with Monty, which the bid was approved already through them, even with council. And he said it won't change his price. That was already in his scope of things. So everything's good.
Which I think, maybe while you're talking about that, do we have a scope of work? The thing that we saw last time was, I'm gonna fix it.
Even an engineer, that's what we got from them.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about from Monty.
Well, he
Was-
turned in bids. I don't know who has those.
I know there were bids, but was there a scope of work identified to what that bid represented? Do we have here are the list of things that are going to be done to fix it?
Yeah, will the bid stand up to this
Yeah.
report, I guess is the question, right?
Yeah, and as on any bid, I think from a scope of work standpoint, we'd like to understand, this is what you're going to do. I'm gonna replace these blocks, I'm going to replace this ceiling joist.
Gary Buffing's one that kind of handled the guys. Basically went in, like everything's still the way it is. The broken concrete's still on the floor and everything. And basically we just told them it needs to be fixed back as it was. No extra, no just go back as it was. Door frame, and of course Monty said that's gonna be the hardest part, the door you go into the men's restroom. But after that, I didn't see him. He got them. We turned them into Eva. I said Eva turned them into the insurance, and they gave us a check. So,
Well,
Monty has seen that. I called him in my office today because he's already been approved through council. They approved it, just pending on. And so I showed him that, and he's like, "Nah, it won't change," because he said he's already going to do that. The only recommendation, only 2 things different, one with the joist and putting nails every so many inches, and then going to the wall and stand just where the concrete was broke. not like the engineer lined out, you know, all this stuff.
So did he ever put in was there a bid that showed the cost of
I
what it was
forgot
gonna cost?
the 2 or 3 bids we got. Yeah, that's what the
We got
insurance
the
went
bids
off.
last
Okay, so we got the bids.
Yeah.
So in that bid, does it show
Yeah,
his scope? I think that's
I haven't
what
seen, that. There's like 3,
Chris
is
is asking.
there 3 of them? I know we've tried to get 3 companies. I remember 3 or 2.
Typically, when they bid it, there's a
So
scope.
like I said, turn them in to Eva, and she sends them to OMAG, and insurance, and they all, you know, and I sent like 25 pictures of the,
Yeah, but I think what we're getting at here, just to give an example,
you know,
When-
well, I know where you're going. I've been here 30 years. It's not like I haven't done bids or quotes.
no, I'm talking about the scope of work in that, when you have a car accident, they say, well, we're gonna replace the hood, the fender, tires, we're gonna paint the quarter panel. Did we get
I
any?
don't- Like I said, I didn't see it.
Okay,
Gary
okay,
Buffington handled the bids for me, and then we turned them into City Hall to Eva. So I didn't actually
And she
see
sent them into the insurance
And
company.
then they sent them the insurance approved, I mean, so it's not like we just approved the bid, even insurance looked at the bids, pictures. Like I said, I sent them, I emailed them, I don't know how, like
They've done,
20 or 30 pictures
they've done.
of the,
so this, what you're saying is, at the end of the day, this scope of work that's now been identified by the structural engineer, a couple of new things, is also included in that.
yeah,
He
that's why
said
I
he
called
covered.
Monty in, because the concern was if he hadn't, we would have to either rebid or if the price went up. And he said, no, that was included in all his, and nothing would change on the pricing or,
So the bids we have meet these standards?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
He said, the only downside on his part is he's leaving for Cozumel for vacation. So he said he's gonna try to get some stuff ordered before he leaves, and so when he gets back, he'll start.
Okay.
But yeah, that's why I got him in there, so he would, and showed and actually let him read that, and he's like, yes, all this is in, he was already gonna do that was in his bid, and, cause our concern was, he's like, no, I'm gonna have to raise the price, cause now, he said all of it's included, so. Yep, so it's all good.
Okay. I appreciate him accommodating us.
Yeah, I was just glad I was able to get hold of him right off the bat, or today. Usually, oh, come by tomorrow or something. Since the meeting was tonight, that's why I was trying to find out from him. But he said, no, he said it's all good.
Do you know, just out of curiosity, from a painting standpoint, do we know, typically a challenge you have is when you're repainting an existing structure.
We'll paint the outside, and we'll probably paint that whole wall, just so it won't, so just for the
So that's
repair
not being
work,
covered by insurance, we're gonna take
We're
that
gonna
on to
do the
repaint it,
outside paint, yeah.
okay?
He said the door, he said getting the door and stuff's gonna be even the hardest, I mean, that may take the longest to get it, cause the rest is, but, and then, he said, yeah. Anyway, should be good to go.
So who oversees the project, just make sure it adheres to these standards that he wrote? You and Steve Powell, you just kind of monitor and watch it, is that how it goes?
Yeah, pretty
Okay.
much on this, just,
Okay.
yeah.
Anything else for Frank? Thank you, Frank. Item number 6, golf course report. I just got a call from Mr. Bowman, he's still hung up about the golf course. We had the Brown and Brown tournament last Friday. The Pryor boys tournament is Thursday, that's a 36-hole tournament. Next Saturday is this coming Saturday is the Sertoma tournament. And then the 5th, a week from Monday, is it's on a Friday, the Main Street tournament. So that gets us started for next month then. So it's been busy out there. Item number 7, discuss possibly recommend council action regarding pickleball court supplies from quotes received.
Okay, so I spent a lot of time doing all this research and making phone calls. And like I said, the biggest concern was probably doing the hole on the actual courts. And we were talking about kind of somewhat doing it ourselves and using plumbing parts to do like what we was talking about, the sleeve. And anyway, so because of that, I called one of the plumbers in town and and kind of talked to them. So he gave me a number of who we use to core drill. So I've got a guy who's gonna come and core drill the holes for us. And we're gonna wait till I get the sleeves in. That way he'll know exactly what size to do. And so we was doing all that. So then I finally actually started researching on the internet, like actual the parts. We'll come to find out, some of these companies actually sell the sleeves that I need. Wasn't gonna be one of those, how do we do this? But the one company is the only one, because we want something that's gonna be tight, sealed tight. So I put an example, I think, there at the back on one of them. Okay, so these are the ones we're going for that have brass actually screw-on lids, to keep it sealed tight. I threw these in there just to show, like all the other sleeves, it's just like a piece of pipe with a plastic deal. So like, kids will pop them out and blah, blah, blah. And so this company was the only one that offered them. So when I called them, they actually done a package deal with the nets, everything, the nets, sleeves, center straps, posts, the whole, everything you need. And they're the only ones that would do that. So that's why I did have a cost in here, like some other posts, kind of compare for the price for their posts compared to, and to me, they're not near as heavy duty as even the ones that's in this package deal.
So what were those again? I'm still looking for it. There we go.
So this is what we're actually trying to improve. One actually says sales quote, and that's everything we need. And then there'll be like $450 on top of that for the guy to do to drill the holes for.
What about, are you gonna paint the court? Is it painted out or striped?
That's already done. That's what I've been trying to tell him for. We already had 2 courts painted out.
Oh, you did?
They're already spec'd
already
out.
there.
They're already spec'd out for pickleball courts then out there.
Yeah, they're already painted
Oh,
out
that's
and everything.
perfect.
Yeah, that's why I kept saying we don't need to build any, because we already got 2 courts.
There you go.
So the plan will be then, so from March to May, when tennis is going on, you have the 8 courts, tennis nets. So when tennis is over, it's court 1 and court 5 that are painted off for pickleball. So we'll drill these holes, install these sleeves. So when tennis is over, take the tennis nets down, install the pickleball posts and nets, and then you'll have 2 pickleball courts 9 months out of the year. That still leaves 6 tennis courts to play on, because except for tennis season, you never see all the tennis courts being used. So, and then when tennis rolls around, take down the tennis nets, cap off the sleeves, put the tennis nets back
Okay,
up.
so these don't just go with the tennis court. You can't do both. They don't go out and you pull that net down and leave
Pickleball's
them
about
both
half
up.
the size of a.
You have to
tennis
switch
court.
all the netting out across the board for pickleball versus tennis. Okay,
Yeah, then it's about half the size,
right.
so the
Okay.
net's a lot different, but yeah, you'll even supply us the tool and everything to the brass cap. And so we figured that's the way to go,
So is this per court?
No,
No, that's
for
that's
for both of
it's
them?
2 courts, yeah.
there's 2 of
Yeah, there
each.
we go. Gotcha.
That's, I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
That's a good,
Yes, and so being that company said 40,000 to build a court, for 2,300 more or less, gonna have 2 courts. And they'll be just
So we
like
can-
regular pickleball courts.
Convert those for about $1,900.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
plus the 450.
plus the guy drilling the cores.
So it's
yeah.
about $2,500 in round numbers.
Yeah, he said it would not be over like 520. He said if he had to buy a bit, you know, he said it wouldn't be over like 5 1/4. He said like 4 1/4 if he's got the right bit. But we're not gonna, even though it says like 3 1/4 inch, he wants to wait till we get the bit or the sleeve, and then he will get it, make sure he's got the exact bit, you know, for that.
So he's just drilling down through the asphalt, putting a sleeve in, and that sleeve's threaded, got an inside
Basically,
thread.
he'll just bore it and drill it, and then we do the rest. Then you drive the sleeve down in there, flush with the
Yeah.
cord, cap it, and
But it's threaded, you said, did you say it was threaded, and you're
Yeah,
gonna put
so we
the
can
post
thread
in
the
so you
cap
can thread it?
on, brass cap on, and we'll be flush with the cord. And then, like I said, when tennis is over, then we just unscrew that brass, slide the true pickleball post in the sleeves. And then,
It won't affect the tennis.
no, that's why we're getting a
No.
guy that that's the way he,
Yeah.
yeah. That's, cause that was the concern, if we had to do it, that was the concern, is damaging the cord.
But once everything's in place and you wanna go put the tennis court back up,
Yeah,
it doesn't affect anything.
nope,
And is there one pickleball court per tennis court, current
yeah,
tennis court?
court 1 on the west court, and then court 5 on the east court are painted off. When they overlay, or whatever you wanna call it, coated the tennis courts, they done 2 pickleball forming.
So
Yeah.
pickle on both ends of that tennis court complex
Mhm.
is where they are now. Okay.
That's what the guy, so I tried to explain to Roy, that's what Merritt, when they tennis, when they done the courts, they're the ones that recommended to do that. They said most municipalities, that's how they do it. They'll paint off 2 pickleball courts before they actually, and kind of see how many people they get to play in it, and then they go from there if they build a court or not. And that's what I was trying to, you know, and that was coming from them, their recommendation, they said that's how most people do it. But, yeah, when you can do these kits for the sleeves and the posts and everything, then we can just go ahead and adapt it over, and said March to May, when they're playing tennis, you know, you won't have pickleball those 3 months.
So your plan would be to make that more seasonal then? So there'll be a certain time period where you'll switch them out. You're not gonna be like, oh, next week we gotta take them down, next week we gotta.
No, it'll be.
It'll be a season in which we use pickleball
Yeah.
courts.
Pretty much March 1st, I don't remember when tennis actually ends, somewhere in the middle of May, would be strictly tennis.
Okay,
And as soon as tennis season is over, we got the schedules from the coach when the tournaments are. And once tennis season is over, then we'll take those 2 tennis nets down and turn them into
But you'll
pickleball.
still have some tennis courts.
Yeah, you'll still have 6
3,
courts, you know, tennis courts to play on.
So how many pickleball courts will we now have in the community? Do you know how many this will make us? With,
In the
with,
whole item.
well, we've got 2 at the tennis courts, we'll have 2 at tennis courts. We also, they built courts at Washington, where Washington School was, didn't they, on that corner? I had that conversation, I think they went out and done some work. I wish Roy was here because he was part of the conversation.
Parking lot, that was the place when we was talking about building a court, that's where I recommended, because it's just a plain gravel parking lot that's just sitting there. So when we talked about building courts, that was a place that I brought up.
So there's nothing at that Washington School right now to
No,
use for pickleball?
they're the superintendent, administrative building, so it's not a school.
Oh, yeah, I know that, but I know there was a blank lot across the street
Yeah.
that they,
So when Washington was there, when it was the, after the school, what was the other thing they turned it into? Like,
The administration building?
no, before that, it was actually like for special needs, I mean, it was
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
something, and so we worked with the school, and like, so, because they're the ones that put in, suppose that little sign in the corner, it's gonna be a butterfly garden, and so we built the shelter, and so we kind of worked in conjunction with the school, you know, and they was gonna use it for parking, because at that time, remember, Washington Great, the school was still there, and so, but when administrative went up, you know, they got their own parking lot and stuff now, so now that lot it's just we still have to mow it and maintain it, but it's, it's not being used for anything.
Well, I know the rec center has, is using pickleball courts at times. Does anybody know?
Three.
Three
In the gym, they.
In the gym?
They mark them off 1, 2, and 3 for set periods of time during the day.
Yeah.
Tuesdays and Thursdays and Thursday evenings.
And how many courts is that? There's three of them, you think?
3, they're able to get
Okay.
3 across. They have 3 marked out, and so they're able to play 3 groups of people at a time.
So,
It has
once
to
we
be-
get
It
to,
has to be designated for pickleball because they use that court for basketball and other things.
Yeah.
yeah,
They-
that's actually where I heard from, some basketball players were saying, what are they doing out there with these rackets?
We do this,
There's designated time periods that everybody has to respect in all
Yeah.
of that,
Right.
for sure.
so once May, then basically for 9 months, it'll, and then we can $2,000 gives you 2 courts, and we can,
Yeah,
if it gets used big time, then we know maybe in a couple of years, maybe it'd be worth doing a separate court somewhere, but anyway, yeah, that's,
Good job.
well, good, that's,
You did good.
So
there's a demand.
do we have the money to fund it?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's $2,500, hopefully.
So
we
I
have
would think we
$2,500.
got plenty. I was looking here and it looks like we got a little bit laying around.
Yeah, there was some money in my small capital outlay when all the people driving on the trails, I put in for some more, like we did at Bobby Buck, the pipe cable fence.
Yeah.
And so I budgeted some money in case we have to do that again, but we didn't. It was on the east side of the pond where I thought we was going to have to do it. But we ended up doing that concrete curb, and that has really slowed people down, because that's where a lot of them were coming in over there. So anyway, but yeah, I have the money.
I would like to make a motion that we proceed with purchasing the materials for the pickleball courts at the tennis court.
I'll second.
We're done now.
Now, is that a recommendation to the council?
Yes,
that what they-
yes,
okay,
to recommend to the
right.
council. Bill?
Any more for questions? I'd entertain a motion.
We have a motion and a
Got a
second.
motion and a second.
Motion's been
Motion,
made
Sherry.
and seconded. Roll call,
Hannah Geeser,
yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Buffington,
Yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Graves.
Yes.
Motion carried. Item number 8, report regarding the skate park research.
Okay, so I done those road trips to check out, I went Claremore, Collinsville, there's one at North Tulsa, Wasso, Broken Arrow. Kinda got with a couple of the directors to, see how they felt towards them, if they've done any regrets, if they fight, blah, 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 just try to get a bunch of information from them, and basically no one had any negative things towards them. So anyway, so I got with the company, and actually ends up being, they done told me we're like about the only ones around that do above ground. They built the others. So he sent me this layout. Well, okay, well first I told him where we were talking, and one of those virtual, he Googled the volleyball court and everything. So this would only be about half that, but yet it's pretty sweet court or park compared to, Claremore and Collinsville, and this same company built theirs. So anyway, that's the layout if it's completed. So then he sent me a thing where, you can do it in phases. Okay, and so I don't know if y'all got that one.
Yes.
And anyway, so the big thing was, he said there's room to do this, and we could still leave like one volleyball court up. There's plenty of room. The only additional, the price on there is turnkey. He said, installation, that's everything. There would be about another $15,000 on our part to re-pour a new slab. It's got to be nice, smooth slab. And he said if we leave the volleyball there, we'd have to put up some kind of a wall between, not a fence, but a wall, because you do not want sand or rocks on the skate park. So there's that. Or I've even been thinking, like whether we go with the single volleyball court back or, you know, cornhole's big, they make permanent cornhole things. I mean, you know, we still have half that to decide to do something with, is what I'm saying. But anyway, so there's no act, you know, right now I'm just telling you what I found out, and I don't think I need to say who, but I'm, no? Okay, but I'm working on funding, so it's, I'm gonna do my best to go for the whole thing at once. I'm in the process of,
That's after we got a slab for it.
mhm. Yeah, we would go in, scoop the sand out, and have to re-pour a new slab, was it 60 by, or 100 by 55? And they do the rest. And we talked about like the fence. He said that was all on us. Like Claremor's is fenced in, Collinsville's not. It's open. He said they don't really recommend one or the other. That's on us. You know, it's one of those, if you closed it down or locked it, he said you probably want the fence, but they've learned when it's open, it's more appealing. But that would just be on us, or what we decide to do, if we leave the fence up or take it down.
And you say this takes up half of the existing volleyball area now,
It'd only be half, so we still have,
and you'd leave the other half for volleyball
we here
with a fence?
set up one volleyball court, you know, or we could even, like I said, do something different if we choose to, you know, cornhole tournaments or set up the old, well, I don't want to do the croquet, but horseshoe. I mean, we'd have half of it to still do whatever with.
And does this project total only, it sounds like it's the equipment, shipping, installation,
Yeah, he said it's turnkey at 192,000.
and that's assuming you have a slab?
Yeah.
Ready to go.
It's gonna be about 10,000 to do the slab. And so I'm saying about additional 15 on our part, depending on if we do a wall. You know, depending on what we decide to do in the other half of the court, if we put a wall up. But it's gonna be about 10,500 to do the slab. And so I asked him, like, you know, if we do the thing all at once, or the 3 phases he's talking about, if one's cheaper than the other, and he's like, well, there's always that thing, of course, if you do it all at once, because down the road, prices could go up, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, like I said, I'm working on some stuff. And right now, it'd just be a, you know, budget thing, that I'm gonna push for this to be the project this year.
So you're gonna push for this to happen. How long is that gonna take?
Well, the budget usually gets approved middle of August, and the guy, I wouldn't even have to say, this guy was like one of those sole,
Proprietorship?
yeah. Because he said there's no one else around that does the above ground, and basically, once the budget's approved, then go for it, you know. September.
So the 23-24 budget,
Yes.
is that June 30, right?
Yeah.
Is it New Year?
Yeah,
July 1.
July.
July 1.
July 1, yeah.
Get it in my capital outlay. Because and all that's going to be depending, I see, on this funding I'm working on. Because I might get some considerable funding for this. And so and I'll know first beforehand, and so that way we'll get it in the budget. If I don't get the funding, then either it'll be in phases or just down, you know, 5-year plan type deal. But as of right now, I'm going to push for this.
What would a slab cost us?
A little over 10,
Huh?
a little over 10,000, between 10 and 11.
And the wall, another 5.
Yeah, and like I said, all that goes back on dependent what we do. If we leave it volleyball, if we still got the sand in there. I actually done some pictures of, like I said, just way ahead. This is just for looking like, because I know cornhole's a big deal. See, they make permanent cornhole things, I've got little examples of the stuff we could do even for cornhole. I think the skate team, all of it, it's used big time. I think there's no doubt on the skate park, but.
Refresh my memory from last month, but did we talk about, there's not a lot of volleyball being done over there at all?
No, and that's why we're looking at,
Yeah, I
doing
mean,
it.
it's just not being utilized, even one court's not being utilized.
Yeah, so as I'm saying, we could just look at other ideas to turn that other half in if we choose not to do the volleyball. We can look at that
Yeah.
once we know more, if I can get this budgeted or something, then we can.
Step one would be this,
Yeah,
okay?
Now, I've gotta be candid though. Given limited funds that we have, cornhole doesn't seem like, that looks like something we get out there on a Saturday morning.
I could see the cornhole actually honestly being used a lot.
But I mean, couldn't that, and that's something we could build pretty inexpensively.
Yeah,
With a-
now I would buy the cornhole
Yeah,
blocks, but yeah,
do
like the
that.
pathway they have
you
set
can
up.
make it out of wood, you can make it out of concrete.
That could be
you can
down
do
the road.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got this one's got pavers all in it. I mean, I know it's just,
Yeah, one's got
So-
pavers, one's concrete, but, and then some had like multiple, like if you got tournaments or something, but,
Well,
anyway, that was just
okay.
an idea this
Yeah.
afternoon, I was like, thought of. There
So-
might be other things that y'all come up with to do that other half.
Are you seeking a motion from us?
No,
subject
this
to
is
funding,
just-
Or just informational at
This
this
is-
point?
This
I was
is
told to
just
research the
information.
pickleball and skate parks, I'm just wanting to let you know what I've
I think it's a great
found.
idea.
Actually, I even got a lot farther into this than I thought I would.
I think it's a
You
You did really
great
good,
idea.
Frank.
But the layout they have, it's pretty nice even compared to the ones I looked at. It was, and,
and this is the same guy that did Claremore's.
yeah, done all of them. And like I said, I think, there's even on here, 20-year, maybe like more, I mean, warranty on parts. Basically, that's the only maintenance that I've talked to the people is like, there'll be minor graffiti every now and then. You already get that in the park everywhere, I mean, every day we're putting something in the bathroom. But, and other than that, you just make sure no bolts or nothing come loose. You inspect it, blow it off because we're already clean and hose off the splash pad every morning. So you just blow off the.
So pretty well maintenance free from your.
Yeah,
standpoint.
and it was kinda like I said with the hotel pool, you just post a sign with rules and you state that, you skate at your own risk, city's not liable, blah, blah, blah. And that's what all the others, the only time there'd be an issue is if was a loose bolt sticking up and we didn't fix it, that would be the only. But other than that, if someone bangs their knee, that's their,
So basically, you're ready to go once you find out if you've got funding,
yeah.
all your ducks in a row.
Yeah,
and
of
you'll
course,
be
all
able
of
to
it come
come
back to this and everything, but yeah, I'm just kinda letting you know where my
So,
plan to go
The
forward.
one in Claremore, right? Where is it?
Right by the rec center.
By the rec center down
Just-
there?
Back way
just
to
north.
Right west,
That was the only,
west of the.
that guy,
Okay.
he said that was the only regret he had on his, is he wished it wasn't by the rec center, but
Wonder why.
he didn't really go in detail. He just,
How
I think
long,
that would
do you
be
know
a
how
good
long
spot.
that's been there in Claremore? How long have
he
they?
said it's about 15 years.
15.
I didn't realize it'd been there that long.
Well, we ought to be able to figure out how much it's gonna hold up then if they've had it for 15 years.
Yeah. We stepped it out too, and it was, see, this is said 60 by 100. Theirs wasn't near that big. Yeah.
Is it not?
Well, there's, the guy is it Tony Hawk's? Anybody remember?
Yeah.
Who's the big skate, is that?
Yes.
He's got a complete framework book set up A to Z on how to do skate parks. And they also have a size associated, depending on the number of skaters, the size of the community and things like that,
Big deal.
that they have a lot of information about.
Well,
No.
it's American Ramp Companies who I'm
Yeah,
dealing with.
and I'll just throw in something else, and I may be in the minority here. I would hope that this is an opportunity for us to treat this like a project. I know we're looking kind of at the feasibility, and I know we've got a couple of council people here tonight, and I think, I would hope that as we take on these types of things, that we do turn them into projects, and what I mean by that is, we have a design, we've got a project plan, we've got a funding plan, we're monitoring progress against the plan. You know, that we've got something that we know what it's gonna look like, because my experience has been contracts, they're really only needed when things go south. When things are going right, there's not an issue, but we wanna, you know, on these kinds of things, you've got a lot of different players involved. It may not look like a bunch, but there will be. And there will be insurance companies, and there will be other regulatory type, you know.
It's a lot like when we done the splash pad, but this will be easier because the company themselves do everything. With the splash pad, you know, I just dealt with the representative, but we still had to bid out the contractors to build this splash pad. So this is a lot like it, but it'll be actually, you kind of cut that middle guy out because the company does it all.
Well, I would say that I don't think the steps will be eliminated, but the number of people you need performing those steps may be,
Yeah.
you know, fewer because you've got somebody doing multiple pieces of it. But I do hope that we start treating these things like projects so that we get status reports, project reports. We know, you know, where things are going, we know where they're at, and we've got people monitoring progress against that.
And how to
Because-
effectively evaluate utilization, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing. It's, you know, we talk about efficiency and effectiveness. To me, effectiveness is, are we putting things in that people are using?
I think this'll,
Well, and what we'd wanna do is, I think to Ron's point maybe is, how do we measure that? Are we putting things in that we're getting good utilization? The second thing is efficiency. Are we putting them in efficiently, or are they costing us more than we expected? And I know this probably sounds like, Chris, this sounds like a lot of bureaucracy, but I think we need some, as we get into these things, that we've got some discipline around them, so that you can report back.
you know, and it might, when it comes down to, as long as we're able to fund it, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, we may put stuff out there to get kids involved and
There is one.
show them the layout and get their opinion, you know, because layouts can change, but, you know.
I think getting the people that are gonna use this facility involved,
Well, you
saying,
got
hey, what do you
them
think about it?
Just the other day on Qualia, I think Elliott, in the last 2 weeks, 3 different areas I've seen like guys have ramps set up on the sidewalk, you know,
They're
kind of,
everywhere.
or little rail skateboarding, you know.
Downtown. Frank, we did have lights on the basketball court, which would be right there by that, right, and up above I thought
Yeah.
so, okay.
Some of the utility lights right now are down. I've notified MUB. They think it was struck by lightning because there's a bunch of not our lights, but the utility lights. There's 7 or 8 of them that's out right now. You still got all the trail lights and the floodlights, but they're supposed to be working on it. He says usually when you got that many out, they must have been struck by lightning somewhere.
I was thinking.
And it's kind of, a lot of times the lights are out. It's kind of tennis lights. You know, I don't go check every night, so a lot of times lights can be out for a while until I get that phone call, hey, it's dark in the park. And half the time, power's been off and our timers are just off, you know, but the utility lights, we don't control those, but yeah, half the time I get a call about tennis court lights, hey, we was down there, we couldn't get them on, you know, 'cause I don't even know, like a lot of times the power's been off for some reason. And usually I go down there and the timer's just off for like an hour or something.
Who handles those timers and stuff? Is that you or is?
Yeah, I do everything except the utility lights, the street light lamps.
Maybe we need to talk to them about putting on electric eyes and getting away from the timers.
Well, no, they are on eyes.
They are?
That's what I was saying, yeah, my floodlights, trail lights, tennis lights, all them are on timers that I do.
Oh,
They're on, street lamps are on eyes, but, and I've even got like lightning arresters on ours for the because at one time we thought lightning was striking those basketball poles, because I was going through
So they're,
I had to replace the circuit board a
they're
couple
not
of
light
times on the
sensitive,
splash
they're not
pad.
light sensitive, it's just certain time periods that you set them for.
Yeah, yeah, it's one like, I change them, like, especially like this time of year and in the fall, there's like that month there, it seems like I'm adjusting them once a week because of,
So why aren't they on highs?
just say.
You know, they've got those things now with all the technical things
Right.
that you could put something out there and it knows what time sundown is and it knows what time
Yeah,
sunrise is.
a lot of it's
And
just like
you can do
floodlights in
anything
the
with those
park, we
on
don't
their
want
own.
them all night long.
No,
I just set those, and like tennis lights,
Right.
basically in the summertime, you know, is when you use the lights the least. So say tennis court lights, like right now, I would have the timer set from like 8 to 10:30. So that don't mean they come on, that just sends power to the pole. Then you still gotta turn
You
the
have to
pole
turn
light.
it on.
Yeah, I've had people call, they didn't know you actually had, and then they're 2-hour timers out there. At one time, used to go to 11, but, you know, that's some awful bright lights, you got houses right there. So and in the winter time, usually it's about 5:30 to, and actually I'll shut them off earlier, like 9. But that's tennis lights. So the floodlights are on the basketball because it's used, you know, that's the most used thing. So I do keep those on from like say 8 to 11, 11:30. And then the floodlights will go off, but you still have, you know, the trail lights. And trail lights, when we did do their big upgrade quite a few years ago, so they are on an eye, but they installed the timer for me. Like if there's an issue and we just shut the lights off, that way I can, you know, or something. But so it's pretty nice setup now. And then there's just a street lamp. But that's why I say when I got that many out at once, they said probably was struck by lightning.
Well, thank you, a lot of good work,
Yeah.
thank you,
You did some good research.
yes.
All right, anything else on the skateboard park? Thanks, Frank. Item number 9, unforeseeable business. Gentlemen, would you like to address us about anything? Okay,
Will.
so if there's nothing, and I would entertain a motion.
I have unforeseeable business. I want
Oh,
to talk
yeah,
about
business.
what Chris brought up a little while ago. Since we're all new on this end, and you were talking about the planning and the budgeting and all of that, have we ever had a comprehensive plan for the park or for the golf course? So that we are working towards, we know what the goals are, and we get people involved and let them help us with this, and like you were talking about?
No,
Or
the
we just
short
kind
answer
of
is
fly
no.
by the seat of our pants and just
What,
whatever?
what you would commonly think of like a strategic plan. so
Exactly.
Like long-term,
Right.
5-year plan.
Right,
And the answer is no, that just hasn't happened in the past. And it tends to be, well, let's leave it at that. That's, and something else that we haven't done, which I was bringing up a little bit tonight, and like I said, with having some council people here, I think we struggle, not only at Park Board, but other parts of the city, of how to get things done. And projects, you know, when you have a project, you got a project manager, and you have defined roles, responsibilities, timeframes, plans, that maybe we can help by the stuff that we do those kinds of things. So if we had a nice 5-year plan that cut it, chunked it up into projects, matched the funding with it, and had identified project managers that we could assign to it and put those things together, then we could get some of these things done. So
I like that idea, and it gives the community, you know, some buy-in and some hope, and they can see, hey, look what they're doing at the park, or look what they're doing at the city, or look
Some
what they're doing at the
confidence.
golf course, yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of just sitting here and waiting until something goes bad, such as the pool, and trying to figure that out. And then, you know, I love these ideas, the pickleball court, the skate park, but if those were planned out, where we could get them out there to Terry to put out to the world, and people know they're coming and they know we're working on it, it would help a lot with confidence and getting more people to buy into what we're doing here in the city.
And I think, to that point, I think we have an opportunity, a lot of you guys are new. And this is an opportunity to kind of change the way we do things. I think that's a great idea, to have a planning session.
Yeah, and it would give us some, transparency as
Yeah.
well. So that they know what's going on. It's just like, thank you, Darla, if you were the one that gave us this budget, because I've been asking for this since
I
I
know.
got here, because
I know.
I'm like, do we know what the park budget is?
Yeah.
How are we supposed to help plan things if we don't know what's going on? And poor Frank's been doing it by himself evidently.
Ron, you were gonna say something?
Well, I mean, and to market it and promote it and develop it.
Yes.
I mean, it's probably not as simple as build it and what they will come.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have a plan to improve the utilization, or if you don't, and evaluate that, because then your resources are wasted. I mean, it's kinda like, I don't know how long the volleyball courts haven't been used, but they just sit there and it's being wasted and nothing's going on from what I hear. And so, you know, there's a lot of opportunities that could come out of that if we had a comprehensive plan to
Right.
evaluate all the little pockets of things we did.
Yeah. Well, I think, and it gets to piggyback on that, is the life cycle of these assets. You know, you start out with to define it, design it, develop it, deploy it, put it into service, operate it. But at some point, you look at retire and replace it. Croquet courts. We had croquet courts for years that really never got used. They sat there, and finally Frank said, you know, we gotta do something with these. But I think if we had, maybe as a board, one of these things we looked at, said, are there any of these assets we need to retire and replace them with something else? That would be a good opportunity to put some type of discipline around that.
I like
So,
that.
You're right.
I like that, just like the splash pad. It's so great. Kids love it, parents love it. That was a great thing. If we had things like that
I
that
didn't
were.
put on my report, I probably, I think I'm shooting from May 13th, 12th,
To open it.
Open it.
it's a Friday, you know, 12th to 13th.
Hopefully we'll have warm weather by then.
Yeah,
You know,
Let's get
I'm
out
not
there.
sure when school's out, so usually it's,
on
I
a,
already get calls for birthday parties, and all
I was
those.
gonna say.
Oh.
The mamas with the little ones won't care if school's out. They'll come.
on a subject everybody here is more familiar than I am with, is the pool, and I hear lots of things like it's just on hold, but it's not really dead, and all those types of things, but, you know, it's obviously had a lot of setbacks, okay, and I would hate to see us abandon discussions on that, or brainstorming or planning on that, even though it could take a project like this, depending on economics and things like this, it could take 5 years before we get there, okay? But if we don't start now with a plan and discussion and possibly even funding as we go year to year, so that we don't wake up in 5 years and don't have any money and just still talking about stuff. And I don't know how the finances in the city work, but, you know, if there's a way to fund that, and then all of a sudden in 5 years, well, we've been funding this and we're waiting for the time, and now we got like $3 million set aside. I mean, that appears to me that may be the path this has to take to get there.
I think planning's gonna be crucial.
I think that exposes, in the past, we've been what I know as being opportunistic versus strategic
Yeah.
in the way we do things. And it always, the opportunity turns out in amount of who's got money available and what is it they wanna build.
You know, just throwing this out there, reason I'm pushing the skate park, I actually have more people call me and want to use the pool for the skate park than people using the pool. I did, I mean, but I talked to the guy about that, and, you know, they don't do that, but yeah, that's one reason I'm pushing the skate park, because I actually have more people comment to me about, you know, using the they think because it's a concrete shell, why don't they use that for the skate park?
You know, baby steps, one step at a time. You get the splash pad, you get the skate park, we get the volleyball or
Just
the
throwing this
pickleball.
out there, I want to plan, my next probably bigger thing, how do I say this without sounding?
Just say it.
Well,
Just
go
saying.
go to Claremont, like these other parks, I ain't hard as low as everybody else is, but now, if you're talking broken, also that's one
Yeah.
thing. But Collinsville did have one new toy that's got the nice cushioned asphalt.
Yes.
That's why I'd like to get ours, eventually get the sand out and go to the nice.
You know, I don't know that we need an agenda item to talk about things, because we're talking about things now. But to my point, I think we ought to have a standing agenda item, pool discussions, every time we meet, just to keep us talking about it and sharing ideas and growing and learning together and trying to figure this thing out, because it's not gonna happen overnight,
Yeah.
so.
We can't
Did
just,
you say pool discussion?
Pardon me?
Did you say pool discussion?
Pool
I
discussion.
can make that
and it's
note.
not gonna be even beg for funding. We're gonna have to get out and find funding. We're
Right.
gonna have to get grants. We're gonna have to
That's
have
right.
donors. We are gonna have to do some fundraising.
Plus, a lot of times to do that, though, you already have to have like the
A
plan
plan,
in
yes,
place.
which is why I brought
Start
that up.
applying for the grant.
I'd like to go get some money, but I can't without a plan.
Yeah.
We've come full circle now.
Yeah.
I changed my mind.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Couldn't stand it. Frank pushed me into it. And I'm just speaking for myself, I'm not speaking for the council. But my main concern is the swimming pool. If we get off of that and we get on skate parks and we get on whatever, we're not gonna get the swimming pool done. People in Mays County use swimming pool. Pryor use swimming pool. For some reason, it's went off the shelf. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm not gonna vote for anything until we get the swimming pool going.
I hear you.
And I'm hearing a lot of comments. Of course, Frank's wanting the skate park. Skate park's fine. Have no problem with it at all. There's a lot of people who use it. That swimming pool, I think, is more priority than anything else.
And you might have a lot of people in the community that might feel that same way.
Right,
And if you wanna find out, throw it on Facebook and see what happens.
Oh, Lord.
See if we
Yeah,
get
no.
roasted.
yeah, I've learned that. It's like-
Yeah.
They'll comment on it.
So, you know, I don't understand city finances as well as I probably should, but I know you have carry forwards and carryovers and things like that. But, you know, my question to the council might be, so, can you throw $500,000 at the pool project next year and commit to it and rat hole it, sinking fund?
You know, you're asking the wrong person, because I haven't got to be involved in the money situation yet. I haven't got to see what it is. We got a new mayor, we got a new councilman, so we're gonna have to look at this thing and see where we're at and how bad in the hole we're in.
See, and I don't even know
Well,
how
I know
that
we
works,
are.
but if we don't start that, okay, and I think that.
I agree.
I think that sends a good message to the public too. I mean, yeah,
Right,
we
they've
can't
gotta
get
know.
there, but we put another $500,000 in there for it, or whatever. At the end of the year, there are extra funds somewhere, most likely, depending on sales tax and things like that. Can we even allocate it that way? I don't even know if you can do that.
I think if we get a plan together to concentrate on one thing, and mine's the pool, we get a plan together, we can get something worked out to get that done. There's people that will give you money, give you donations, there's grants to be got, but I think we gotta do it, and we can remodel the pool we've got. I've got the plans on it, already saw them. The end of it, on the west end, sunk 2 inches. That's nothing. You're gonna have to redo the concrete, you're gonna have to redo the plumbing and the pumps, but I think we can get it done. If we build a new one, you're talking, 3 to 5 million. And we don't need anything fancy, just need a pool for them to go to.
Well, don't we have the plans? I mean, didn't we have all
Yes.
that?
I think that's probably what Bruce is
Yeah,
talking
okay.
about. He's
Yes.
Worked away somewhere.
padding.
Pardon?
We actually paid, I think, at the end of the day, it never got back to us, but I think we completed the payment to Paddock. So we purchased a full set of renovation plans.
I think
And
they
they're
were
still
in our-
there.
I think
Yeah,
they
there's-
were
Now,
in
how
our-
accurate you are with the prices, whatnot, I don't know now.
And is there any funding that's been allocated to this, or has that all been talk?
It was
We-
funded, and then it got reallocated to cover some things that.
So what kind of conversation would happen at a city council meeting if the park board recommended that this next year, we allocate $500,000 in funding for the project?
I don't know where we're gonna get it, be fine. I think the first thing we're gonna have to do is all of us, the new mayor, the new council, we're gonna have to get together and see where we're at, what we've got, which way we can go, and then go from there. I think we're gonna have to stop spending money first on several projects until we see where we're at, and then go ahead and get our priorities in line. But anyway, I just me, there may be, everybody's got different.
And if we fund, we gotta make sure we don't defund.
That's right.
Defund's a bad word out there
That's right.
today.
Thank y'all.
He broke it down
Thank
into
you.
splash pad.
Thank you,
he
Mr.
broke it
Smith.
down to
Thank you.
climbing wall. So
Yes.
we have the plans and we have the costs.
Yeah, that's what he's
But
saying.
it's gonna be more than, it's gonna
We
be
need to
more than
start
just
throwing-
one
We need to
pier.
start throwing money.
Yes.
Even if those aren't
Right.
fully developed, we need to
So
start throwing money.
if we get a strategic plan in place and we can start seeing where we have to put money and what the plan is and what the priority is, just like he said.
But then
Which-
again, if, you know, we could still do Frank's thing, which is a
Depends on what kind
fraction,
of money
you know.
Frank's coming up with.
Right, and if he's got a donor that wants to put towards that, at least that would give the kids, the older kids something to do now while we're planning.
While
Because
we're getting this
I
done.
want a pool. I think for young
do too.
families especially. I mean, I remember when my kids were growing up, taking them there and sitting in the little waiting part with the baby while
I
the
remember
other one-
sitting in the little waiting part as a baby.
Well, thanks, Sherry. That I don't remember.
Well, I do.
But, yeah, I want both. But obviously, the pool's gonna be a humongous chunk. But, like you said, if we start putting a chunk back now, we've got the plans, we've got the price.
Gotta start somewhere.
That's the start.
Huh?
Strategic plan, we need a
Yeah.
plan.
But I mean, we've got the pool plans and what each piece costs. So that's, and it's paid for, like Chris said, it's paid for.
We just need the
We just
The
need the
funding
funding to
plan.
do it.
funding plan. Yeah. Mayor, did the mayor come?
I guess not. You got tied up with a meeting, so.
No mayor.
Anything else?
Not for me.
I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Made and seconded, all in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming.